Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Jon Arguello with the School Board Report, and we have a ton of stuff to talk about tonight. It has been a crazy week in education, crazy 2 weeks. It's been a crazy 2 years for education, and we're going to cover a lot of it tonight. We're going to start with some national stuff, go down to the state level, big stuff happening in the state, and then we're going to come down to our Central Florida area and discuss some of the stuff going on there. So stay with me. We're going to say a quick little prayer, and then we're going to get right down to business. Lord, thank you so much for all the blessings that you bestow upon me and this community and this country. We know that without you, without your guiding principles, this country would be in far worse shape than it is today. Our people would be suffering far more. And we always have to keep in mind that your word is the truth, and the truth is what we are after on this show, and in those people who are aligned with us and who care about our country and who care about our families and community. We want the truth for the people. So, Lord, watch us, help us reach people, help us open minds, help people dialogue with us, and help the citizens of this great country discover that truth and find leaders who will promote the truth and not try to hide in the shadows as they run our government here in this state. So, in your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen. All right, lots of stuff to talk about. We are very organized this evening, so thank you to my friend Tom, who's producing the show tonight. Tons of stuff to go on, and we are going to start with some national stuff. Recently, big story, a high school coach won a $1.7 million settlement because he was praying before games. And it just goes to show that our Constitution, if you read our Constitution, it does not separate every opportunity to pray from any type of public space. That's just not what the intended. That's not what the founding fathers intended. That's not what our Constitution demands or calls for. And this gentleman proved it in a 6-3 decision. So he is receiving a $1.7 million settlement, and he will be allowed to pray. He was basically got his job back as well. So big things for them. One of the things that he was saying, by the way, this guy has been fighting since 2015 to get his job back. And this is just a coach. I think that we all know coaches are the people who volunteer their time. They put tons of blood, sweat, and tears into their job with kids. This is a big deal. So it was just congratulations to this gentleman. His name is Mr. Kennedy. I'll give you his complete name here, but you can search. It's Joseph Kennedy. And congratulations to him and his family. Next, we're going to talk about Ohio. We've been talking a lot on the school board report about what is wrong with education. Essentially today, everything is wrong with education. What we need to do is rewrite the model. We need to stop looking to an obsolete model. And at least there are some creative people in Ohio. I don't know if this is good or bad. I haven't really considered the details, but they are at least being creative. They have gone down to a 4-day school week. Now, a little anecdote here. This week, my daughter was exhausted. All right, she was exhausted. Come Monday, she did not want to go to school. She was kind of throwing a fit in the morning. She really didn't want to go. My daughter's also one like me that I complained about going to school in the morning, and she does. But this time was a little bit different. And my wife and we decided that we were going to let her stay home. So last night when I'm putting my daughter to bed, I'm the one that puts her to bed every night. And we say our prayers, and then we kind of talk about our day, and we just kind of like chat, right? And she literally told me, she said, "You know what, Dad, thank you so much for letting me stay home. I really needed that day, and I felt like the whole rest of the week has been going so much better because I had that extra day that I needed." That's a great thing to hear, because you don't get that kind of feedback on your decisions normally like you do. You just kind of have to guess, and then you're moved on to 500 things before you ever know how something impacted your decision. So I think that this is a creative thing. We all know that it's not working, and they'll find out whether it's good or bad in Ohio, but at the very least, this district is not afraid to do something big, and they have they're down to a 4-day work week. Now, I say a 4-day work week, 4-day school week, but it's also a work week for our teachers. And I guarantee that those teachers would be appreciative if they had an extra day off too, because that's an exhausting job. So if the kids are better, the teachers are better, that's a better environment. If let's say, for example, Osceola County went to a 4-day school week, that would be a far more competitive place if everybody else is doing a 5-day school week. So I think teachers would be happy to put in another hour on a daily basis to spend another day with their families and their kids and so on. So that's the news out there in Ohio. Now moving on to Virginia. Now Virginia is at the epicenter of a lot of these parental rights issues, right? We have talked so much about parental rights. I'm a big parental rights person. Parental rights people have been winning left and right throughout the state, except in Central Florida. They didn't win big the way we were expecting. They won everywhere else, but they didn't win in Central Florida because we have some crooked politicians here that wanted to step in the way of that happening, and that did happen. They did get in the way of that. But nonetheless, we still have some parental rights people here. In Virginia, you have to remember, Virginia, which is a much largely left-leaning state, they did get a whole bunch of parental rights people in school boards, and they also got a parental rights governor, right? And they are really now in the deep. They're in the weeds, having this fight about essentially what is advocating policies and so on, and politics and agendas in schools and trying to get it out, right? Because not even the leftist people who live in Virginia want these kind of woke agendas touching their kids, and no pun intended, but they don't want it there, right? And so they're having this class, and one of the things that one district did was they are expanding their sex ed classes, and it is about a policy that will combine sex ed classes for boys and girls in the 4th through 8th grade. Now, look, I was not a great student when I was in school. I did not need, even me, did not need 4 years of sex ed to learn a lot about that situation by the time I got to high school. Nature kind of takes over, right? Now I get the idea that we want to be introducing our kids to health and so on, and preventative measures and so on, whatever, right? But here's the thing, you don't need when you're trying to combine these classes for 4, what are you going to tell them? I'll tell you what they want to tell them here in these classes. They want to tell them how to switch their genders, right? And that's the problem here. This is not about health. This is an ideological thing. This is about an ideology that you have in your mind, an agenda, and you want to promote it to kids. And one of the things that Governor Youngkin said is that this is activism, not education, and it's just bad. And essentially, the people who are really trying to push this is the whole trans crowd that were upset that this was being taken out. They see it as an attack on their community. Well, why are they involved in this fight, right? If this is not about this community, then why are they embedded in this sex ed discussion? It's because that's the one thing that they want to tell kids and normalize kids, is that, changing your gender on a whim is what's right, and parents don't want it. So that's a big fight going on in Virginia. Another Looney Tunes state, Minnesota. So much craziness has been going on in Minnesota recently. Obviously, the weather's not the only thing that stinks in Minnesota. It's their policies and their leadership. It is terrible. So anyways, a elementary school music teacher claims that the goal is to confuse students about gender. And we have a video here that we're going to key up here. Let's key up that video. This is a teacher here who's, in her own words, the whole point is to confuse. And as a teacher myself, I know that the point is not to confuse your students. It's to bring clarity to your students. And that's why people like this hate God, because God is the truth. And that's the one thing they don't want. What they want is confusion, and here it is her saying it in her own words.
I just can't figure it out. It's just so hard. I can't figure it out. It's just like, that's the goal. That's the goal.
So you heard it. This is a teacher saying that the whole point is to confuse kids. That's the craziest thing. I think that this teacher absolutely needs to not only lose her job, but she needs to be banned from being around kids. If your whole point of your job in your mind is to bring harm, you need to go away. They don't allow nurses who inject poisons into patients to continue on the job, right? And that's what she's doing. She is injecting poison, her agenda, her poisonous, toxic agenda into these kids. It's not right, and they need to remove her immediately from any exposure to children at all whatsoever. Another big country issue here, we have an author, talking about another person who's obviously confused. We have an author of a challenge book saying that banning sexually explicit books is illegal. It is an overreach by the government. Listen, we have government entities that protect you from bad financial people, right? The consumer protection for finances, right? We have the FDA that's supposed to protect you from bad drugs. We have the USDA that's supposed to protect you from bad food. But you're telling me that school boards and parents protecting their kids from sexualization at a young age is an overreach of the government? That's crazy. So you can protect adults from losing money, but you can't protect kids from seeing obscene pornography? What are these people thinking? I have no idea. The author here who's been fighting for this, I'm not even going to mention her name actually, but anyways, in Central Buck School District, they are having a big fight over this, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how they can even come close to thinking that it's okay to show kids this obscene pornography. It's just sickening. It's absolutely sickening, and we're gonna put we will put the links to these news stories underneath the show, and you guys can go and peruse these things. You can see. I think one of the big things in Osceola County and in Central Florida, throughout the state of Florida, parents have really been getting involved. I know it's big in Sarasota. I know it's big even in Orange, where Alicia Ferrant won, and she's a phenomenal school board member. She is great. Here in Osceola County, where parents came out in droves to speak out against these obscenities in school. Now, we know that they have it on their phone and so on and whatever, but that's not the taxpayers. The taxpayers' job is not to fund obscenities in schools. You know, I mean, if the parents want to fund it, that's them. If they want to go to the library, if they want to buy the book on Amazon, that's up to them. But the taxpayers should not be funding these obscenities. That's what this is about. So I don't think that this is an overreach. I think it's an overreach for school districts to be promoting sexualized content to kids, in my opinion. Moving on to a very tragic situation in Denver. There was obviously a while back, there was a school shooting where 2 administrators were shot by a student. That student was recently found today. He had killed himself. It appears that he had killed himself. This is all alleged, of course. We don't know the exact facts. There's still information coming out, but that's what it sounds like. And interestingly enough, this happened after 2 years after they removed police from the school. So they had police in the school, they removed police from the school, law enforcement, and then the shooting happened. That's horrendous timing. That's horrendous. It points to how dangerous it is. If we have cops, right, that protect neighborhoods and protect banks and protects all businesses and protect government buildings, before you protect any government building with a politician in it, you need to protect the government buildings that have kids in it. That's just my opinion. You have to have cops. That's the number one priority. Parents don't give a crap about anything else, but what they do care about is their kids. And the number one priority of everyone in anyone who takes a dime from a taxpayer is to protect kids first, and everything else second. Everything else comes after that. The community cares about the kids. We don't care about everything else, right? Parents they don't go out and they don't vote in big numbers for politicians that are horrendous. We know this in Osceola firsthand. The politicians here are worth nothing. They are worth less than nothing. They're terrible. They are hot, steaming garbage, and yet people don't come out and vote. But when you start messing with their kids, people come out and they vote. That should tell you that if there's anybody who's armed to protect anything, you protect the kids first and everything else after that. And I think Denver just learned that the hard way. It's a very sad situation. God, I pray for the people that are involved in that, for these hardworking administrators. I wouldn't be surprised if they, were shot. One of them, last I heard, one of them was in surgery. One of them had somewhat recovered. Spoke to the press. But I wouldn't be surprised if these guys died saving their students, because that's the kind of heart and soul that teachers and educators put in their kids. And we have video on this, so we'll watch that right now.
All right, we are going to head back to Denver now, where a manhunt is underway as police are searching for the student who they said shot 2 Deans at this school. It happened a short time ago there in Denver at a high school, 2,500 student high school in Denver. Senior correspondent Laura Ingle joins us now with more. Laura, what are we learning now?
Hi, Sandra. Well, as you mentioned, 2 staff members are being treated for injuries at this hour in Denver after police say they were shot by a student who was being patted down in the morning as he was entering school, being patted down for weapons under what school officials called their safety plan, in which students with behavioral issues are routinely checked for weapons. The interesting part of this story, Sandra, is going to be that other parents did not know that this was happening. That, according to a parent I just spoke to who has 3 students at this school. Now, all of the students that were in class were in their 3rd period classrooms and placed under a lockdown shortly after 10 a.m. local time. Police say a controlled release of students will begin once Denver police allow. It looks like that's starting to happen now. This high school was the scene of a deadly shooting just last month. That is when Luis Garcia died after being shot while sitting in his car outside the school. That act of violence prompting students to walk out, saying they were concerned for their safety. Denver students who have said they are fed up with gun violence in and around their schools have been taking actions ever since Garcia's death, with student activists organizing a summit with officials from the state, city, school board, Denver PD, and the school to find solutions to try to keep students safe. There's also been a lot of debate about the use of school resource officers, which came up at the news conference earlier today. Reporters asking why there was not one on campus. The school board made the unanimous decision to remove SROs ahead of the 2021 school year in the interest of student safety, they said, due to civil unrest over their policing, an issue that still remains a sticking point today. And I've just learned from that parent I spoke with that there will be no school for the rest of the week. There will be 2 armed police officers stationed at the school through the end of the school year. Some very upset parents having a lot of questions at this hour about why kids with behavioral issues are being patted down for weapons, and that other parents did not know that this was a practice that was going on at this high school. We will bring you more as we get information here in our newsroom.
So it's tragic, right? It's tragic. The story is tragic, but I think it's very interesting and telling that we have 2 armed officers at the school after the fact. The shooting happened, right? The shooter apparently took his own life. So now what? Now you're going to have 2 armed officers? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You have to keep law enforcement on school. That is the most effective way. I'll tell you what, one thing that's also changed my mind, and listen, something like this happened, a very similar story happened here in Osceola County very recently, and we're going to talk about this later on in the local part of the show, but after this shooting, reflecting on it, I've decided that I am for teachers carrying guns. I think that that's a good thing at this point, and I say that because of the anecdotal information, having been a teacher now. I know that my kids if I'm armed, my kids are safer immediately. If I'm armed, my kids are safer. I think you're going to be very hard pressed to find someone. Now, this may be me as a veteran, as a combat veteran. It would be difficult to find somebody else, right, who has more tactical experience than I do, wielding a weapon in combat or in that type of situation. And I think that you find right now they just had this program with the state where they're bringing veterans into the classroom. I think those veterans should have the opportunity to be armed so that they can protect their schools if need be. I think that would be a big deterrent. I think that people don't mess around with veterans. I think that they know that veterans who have been at war for years at a time, somebody who went to Ranger School or some, airborne infantryman somewhere, is going to be probably better able to stop an armed intruder on campus as well as anybody on the planet. And I think that might be something that we should consider. If you're a veteran, you should be able to, as a teacher, as an employee of the district, you should be able to prove your ability to handle the task. And if you choose, then you should be able to volunteer to do that, and potentially not even volunteer, maybe be paid a stipend for being there in that capacity at a school. And maybe not ever. I'm not saying that every teacher should be carrying. I'm just saying that there should be some kind of, and I know that there's pathways for that. I know that they do it in some places, not others. So that's just that. Moving on to Florida. Speaking of Florida, there's been breaking news, right? Like we got breaking news that happened today. Our HB1, which HB1 is basically an expanded voucher system in Florida, has made it to the governor's desk. I have not seen the latest. The funny thing is I read it today, so I have not seen the latest, but I'll tell you generally what it is, HB1. Essentially, it does, major thing I'm scrolling here, I was reading it earlier. One of the biggest things it does is that it just increases the limitations for people to be able to go. And it makes everyone eligible, practically everyone eligible. Now, it prioritizes the lower income you are, it prioritizes you in the list, but it expands the program so that anyone can go and get an education. If the public school system is failing you, it allows you to take the money. That money now follows the student, and they can take that money and go somewhere else, right, to a private school or something, where they feel that their child is being serviced in the best possible way. And that is just huge. That is great stuff. Like I said, I haven't finished the whole bill. I think the expansion of the program, when you have let's look at it this way. When you have a program, a monster of a governmental unit, which is education. I know that we have districts, but in Florida, I mean, Osceola County, where I serve as a school board member, it's one of the largest school districts in the entire country. We have almost $2 billion budget, right? We're a $45 billion entity, okay? These are huge things. They're not, and they're not delivering the best education, but we get money every single year, right? So we don't have to be good because that money comes in every single year, no matter what, no matter how bad we are, no matter how bad our grades are, no matter what we do wrong, right? We still get that money. We will never fail, right? We're the banks. People are really upset about SVB getting bailed out, right? Well, education in the United States, that's the real big SVB. These are gigantic organizations that are failing, and they're getting bailed out every year on your dime. Every single year they get bailed out because they're not delivering the education that they should be. So what's the best thing to do? You need to, now, people think, oh, well, you hate public school. No, I don't hate public school. Okay, I went to public school and private school. I did not hate it. My kids graduated from a public school, right? They also went to private school. I just have knowledge of the areas. I've served on a school board in a public school district. I've served on a private school board as well, right? For almost as large of a district. So here's what I've learned, is that in order to make the system work better, you need more flexibility, right? It can't just be on this giant behemoth of a system led by one dictator at the top, some educational dictator at the top. That's not a good system. It's not a good system for Americans. It doesn't work out for our students. You need flexibility, and the way that you gain flexibility is sometimes by streamlining the process, making it a little bit smaller. I think that would be a big service. Let some of those kids go to private schools. Let some of the kids go to charter schools. Let our public school teachers compete with private school teachers and have 15 kids in the classroom. Imagine if our teachers only had 15 kids, how much better of an environment that would be, instead of having 30 or 300 in an auditorium where they're not learning, right? That's the problem right now, is we have a teacher shortage. Why? Why would you want to teach in a classroom that has 28 kids as opposed to a classroom that has 15 and get paid the same, right? Or even a little bit less, because they get paid a little bit less in most private schools. So these private schools, right? We're being forced to be more competitive, but we're also being allowed to be more competitive as a public school system, and I think that has value. But here's the thing: I'm a risk taker. I get punched in the face. In my opinion, that's going to be an opportunity to do a counterpunch, right? And when you're a competitive person, you take opportunities where they come to you. You don't beg for an opportunity. If it doesn't come to you the way that you want it, you don't do anything about it. No. Whatever happens, that's an opportunity to make use of it. And to me, this is an opportunity for public schools to sharpen their tools, and get down to business, start delivering better education. So HB1 passes. We haven't seen it exactly. In 2 weeks, we'll come back. We'll be able to tell you the details of that when we do the next school board report. Next up, I think it's good timing. We need to go back to this list of the hit list, right? the Governor DeSantis hit list of school board members. We're going to name the names. I don't think that we did this last time. We did it a while back. This was, broke back in late February. That DeSantis put out this kill list for school board members who were woke or who had some kind of agenda that they were pushing with kids and stuff. And so we're going to go through these names here. We're going to show the first 5 here to you. So we got in Brevard County on that kill list was Jennifer Jenkins. In Duval County, we got Kelly Coker and Cindy Pearson. In Hillsborough County, you have Nadia Combs and Jessica Vaughn. In Indian River County, you have Peggy Jones and Brian Barefoot. One of the people that's considering running for that race is a guy named Sean Frost. Sean Frost was a former school board member. He is a master strategist, super smart guy, former veteran. I know that they're trying to get him to do it. I hope he does, man. He's better. He also runs he does a lot of great stuff. And he was one of the guys pushing that bill HB1 along the process. So he's a great guy. It'd be great to see him on a school board. It'd be great to see him wherever he is. We have in Miami-Dade, Luisa Santos. In Pinellas County, we have Laura Hine and Eileen Long. In St. Lucie County, we have Jack Kelly. And then in Volusia County, we have Anita Burnett and Carl Persis. So those are the people. Oh, we have Sarasota. In Sarasota, we have Tom Edwards. So those are the people on the hit list. So I have one question. Where are the local school boards? Where's Orange? Where is Osceola? We've been fighting this battle in Osceola like crazy. This has not been some quiet battle. They have put in 8 complaints against me. They begged the governor to remove me from office. I was the only conservative on the school board. They did not remove me. I don't know why they didn't remove me. I didn't deserve to get removed, but they have so much political power. I thought I was a goner for sure. The governor in all his wisdom decided not to remove me. And